What's going on, everyone? Welcome to Real Sales Talk. This is season 3, episode 6. This is the sales show for salespeople by real salespeople that are passing along their knowledge, their insights, and giving you unprecedented access to their sales network, and all to help you grow and help you make more money in your sales job. Tonight, we're going to be talking about what Henry and I have been up to in our new jobs, some of the challenges that we've been experiencing, and sharing some insights into what it's like to pioneer some new avenues in some new companies. So, Henry, how are you doing? It's been a few weeks, hasn't it?
It has been a while, man. Like I guess what I was gone for 2, and then you were gone for 1. So we're back at it again, as I would say. So life is good, man. How are things on your end?
They're good. They're doing good. They're doing good. It seems like life has gotten a little bit fuller with schedule, taking on some new responsibilities with the new company, Real Space. You know, juggling a couple of kids and a wife, and our daughter Solveig has been. I was sick for a little while, and then now our daughter Solveig is sick, and so it's challenging juggling everything, but. You know, what doesn't kill you will only make you stronger. I think someone by the name of Kanye said.
There you go. Yeah, hey, I'm a full believer in that, man. So, hey, I wish the best to Solveig. Good to see you back on your feet, too. So,
yeah,
here we go. Just keep on pushing. Keep on pushing.
So, give us, I think you talked a little bit about this last week when you ran Real Sales Talk on your own, but talk about what's happened over the last 2 or 3 weeks. What have you been up to, and what are you looking forward to here moving forward as we move into October and the rest of the quarter?
Yeah, so I mean, it's been crazy for me going into the new gig. Yeah, like you said, right, I talked about it last week. I moved from the business to business world to business to consumer, so that's been a big shift for me, right? And moving from a company over 100 and some odd people to a 4-person organization is another big shift. In that, pretty much where I'm at now is everything you have to hunt it down and kill it before you can eat it. So before, there were a lot of leads coming to me and I could then actually do the selling. Now it's you have to go get the leads. You have to then sell them to actually get everything done. So it's been a lot of changes. Figuring all of that out, setting up the entire back end of everything from a CRM perspective, a email marketing perspective. We actually have Drift on our website as well. So getting all that stuff set up this week, and then also doing some marketing with like blog posts, and I'm actually in the process of potentially setting up a Snapchat as well. So
cool.
A lot of moving parts.
Yeah, I like it resonated when you said that you're having to hunt, kill before you eat, and I think that's something that I'm going through as well. I mean, there is no one else here in the U.S. who's selling Real Space for Real Space, and so a lot of what I've been working on is strategizing. Who do I want to reach out to? Who are the key decision makers? Who are the influencers in the industry that I can build relationships with that will make trials and customers easier? How can I make that process easier? So when you talk about hunting, I know exactly what you're talking about, because I'm right in the thick of that, and trying to identify, influencers, decision makers, and growing customer base through some very organic ways, like just asking for referrals.
Yeah.
So and not only is it hunting and killing, but it's like it's dressing, it's dressing the animal. It's pulling off the hide, and it's pulling out the guts, and getting your hands dirty, and it's the whole exciting.
Thing, man. Yeah, it's the whole thing. It's fun. I love it. So actually, before we go further, you mentioned something there, referrals, ask for referrals. So we had Alice on a few weeks ago, and she talked about the asking for referrals, calling people up, kind of going that process. How's it been going on your side? What's how you been approaching it? What you been seeing?
It's been top of mind. So since I started working with RealSpace, I've brought on maybe 2 handfuls of customers, and we're in the thick of still implementing a lot of their websites and getting their websites connected to the multiple listing services, which is basically the organizations that sort of manage all of the properties that are listed in those areas. So in order for those properties to show up on their website, you have to do a little bit of dancing with the MLS organization and fill out some applications and some, be patient. So for most of the customers that I have been working with, that I brought on personally, we're still in the thick of things. I did have one customer who's just terribly excited about RealSpace and its potential, and so I did say, please let me know if you end up talking with anyone. We're still early on in the relationship, so it was more of a lob to kind of plant the seed. But I said, hey, if anyone else, if you hear of anyone else who's as excited as you are about finding a CRM, definitely let me know. So I planted the seed. It wasn't a who do you know like at what Alice recommends, but I know that I will over time have that opportunity to ask this person as well as some of the other ones for referrals.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, just wanted to ask, so because I've been going through that process. So being at my company, right? I mean, my dad sold all the old customers. So there's also this weird, like, some of them it's like, these are my customers, like, just don't call those guys. And then there's the other ones who we've sent an email to, but I haven't even had a chance to reach out to. Long story. Yeah. So I haven't even been able to go back to our old customers to really ask for referrals. But what I've been doing a little bit of is reaching out to like friends that I know in the area and asking them. But I've got to be honest, like, it's awkward. For me, at least, it has been, like, because some of them, I mean, I've spoken with them, recently, like, little things on LinkedIn or Twitter or what have you. But like, I don't know. I haven't gotten comfortable with the referral ask yet. I'm just kind of seeing if I know you were in the real estate field before, so I was wondering maybe if you reached out to anybody you knew back then and kind of go in that direction at all.
I haven't. I'm still trying to get. I'm still trying to land on my feet and get settled in. A big part of my strategy, and this is probably has a lot to do with my personality, but I think it I can recommend an approach that I think works very well and settles very well with our Real Sales Talk listeners. And it's make sure you build relationship before you really go in and ask for the referral. Not only make sure they're happy, but if it doesn't feel right, this is just kind of me talking about asking for referrals and my philosophy about it. If it doesn't feel right, it probably doesn't feel right to them either. And so it's probably because the reason why it doesn't feel right is because there's not that relationship built there. And so I think as far as my personal network, I haven't asked anyone yet because I want to put out some value first. So the Facebook Live thing has been something that I've been intentional about. I want to do it a little bit more. I did a recap on Friday on Facebook Live. And if you're not following me on Facebook, just reach out. It's Sean Michael Mitchell. And if we've never had any contact or communication, just send me a quick message and let me know you heard of me through Real Sales Talk or whatever medium you're listening to this on. But I want to put out some value there in some familiarity with what I'm doing before I go and I reach out to some people and ask that sort of thing. And and I just think that's how I roll in my style anyway. It's moving in for the kiss too quick. On the 2 minutes into the first date. You don't want to do it too soon. And I think personally,
either, man.
What's that? What's that? What'd you say?
I said you don't want to wait too long either. Fall into the friend zone.
Right, right. Yeah, don't get stuck in the friend zone.
Oh man, but go on. Sorry, I just
No, no, it's all good. So yeah, so the referral thing I think is definitely an avenue that needs to be worked. In one of the areas that I haven't even touched yet is existing customers here in the U.S. And it's similar to what you're talking about with your relationship or with the relationship that your dad has with some of the customers. Some of them are, he probably spent a lot of time with, probably personal friends, and coming in and I would like to do a couple of follow-up phone calls first, create some familiarity um, with my name and who I am, and let them know I'm truly interested in helping them before I ask for something. So yeah, I think there's going to be more to report on that here soon. As I start to get settled in, it's definitely one of the paths of least resistance for sure with business, especially if they're happy with our product.
Yeah, yeah. No, I agree with you completely, and that's kind of why it hasn't felt comfortable for me, so I know it probably doesn't feel comfortable for them. So just trying to find that right time and place. What I have done, and you may have seen this, actually probably you definitely saw it because I know you posted on Facebook, was the Friends I Need Your Help email blog post. Essentially, that was like my calling to my friends. Like, if you know somebody, please, shoot this email to them or connect me with them. It was my way of asking for referrals, but without like calling somebody up on the phone and saying, "Hey, you get a referral." So, yeah, little by little.
What have you done, or what sort of efforts have you put into laying out a revenue goal for the rest of this year and next year? Have you had much of a hand in that? And you don't have to talk specific numbers, but I'm just curious because I've had to do some of that as well. So what sort of things have you done so far to set some goals out there?
For myself or for the company, or
for the company, I guess. I mean, or I guess either or, for yourself or for the company.
So in terms of, like, I haven't like said anything, like wrote it down and said like this is what we're going for. But when I was coming on, I pretty much said to my father, like, I plan on doubling revenue from last year this year, right? Like in my first year of being here. I think it's kind of going to go on a similar slope of anything, right? Is that the first quarter is going to be a little slower. Second quarter will, get a little better. Well, for this business, since when I came in, it's actually Q4. I don't know if that will change things around, but like, it's going to be my slowest quarter will probably be this first quarter, right? And then it'll get better and better as time goes on. So my goal is to double revenue in my first year here. I know it's kind of it's definitely a big hairy goal, right? But I definitely think it's feasible considering we didn't do any marketing or sales or marketing prior to coming in. So that's a big focus of mine is building the brand, building the marketing channels, and going from there. So
yeah. I put together
what about you?
I put together a strategic plan that I presented to the CEO, and I had I had 3 months. Was it 3 months? 3 or 4 months of working for them part time. So I had a pretty good idea about the sales process. Where the opportunities are and what type of revenue was possible. And this is actually a really interesting topic, maybe for us to dialogue about, which is, I didn't want to be overly optimistic, right? To set a really high goal that I knew was unattainable, but I didn't want to set the bar too low either. I wanted something sort of in the middle, and to feel like I was being challenged, but also setting a goal that I think is definitely obtainable as well. So, I've been in sales organizations where and the manager knows that monthly quota is not realistic, and they're not expecting you to meet that. They just want you to give a good effort. And so, I thought through that process, and I my style is challenge yourself, but don't discourage yourself when creating some sales goals, and in this case, some revenue goals for the company. So what's been your experience with that? Have you ever worked for organizations where and they know that it's not obtainable?
Yeah, so before we go there, I want to ask you like more specifics, right? Like you don't have to give me exact revenue numbers, but like at least percentage growth rate rise, right? Like what would you consider like that's audacious and probably and it obviously differs for different businesses.
Yeah.
But in your case here, like what did you think was like an appropriate like growth percentage?
Yep.
And what did you think was like that's like me just saying stuff to you to sound good?
Yeah. So 20% month over month was something that I thought was challenging but obtainable, and it's factoring in things like the company is new to the U.S. or North American market, so there's a very small level of brand recognition. So people are hearing about RealSpace for the very first time, and they're not familiar with it. And in addition to that, there's also a lot of opportunity in the software to develop it. It's a great solution, but I think we have a lot of opportunity to capitalize on some things that almost everyone in the real estate CRM space is not doing, and that can kind of create some buzz. But until then, it's when I was looking at the revenue goals, I knew that if I was working some of these different angles, like making sure that marketing is doing their part to drive online leads in, me doing my part to work existing customers and asking for referrals, personal relationships, working partnerships as well. I just reached out to a company yesterday, sent him an email. Actually, I got a referral. That's basically what it was. I got a referral from someone that I knew that recommended me to a company that I was interested in partnering with. And so a response from that company that I'm interested in partnering together with, within a couple of hours of sending the email. So I'm looking at all of these things and I'm thinking, okay, with all of that considered, what do I think is challenging? What do I think is obtainable? I want to build a good precedent, and I think setting a goal that's way unrealistic, it's a great way to get frustrated, discouraged, and you could work yourself into a corner where your boss, the CEO or whoever it is, comes to you and says, hey, why haven't you been meeting your annual revenue? We're going to let you go, type of thing. And so, you want to you want to be strategic. You want to grow the company and push it forward, but you also don't want to put yourself in an uncomfortable situation. So those are some of the things that I'm thinking through when I put together that 20% month over month goal.
Yeah. No, and it makes sense, and definitely something that is worth thinking about and understanding. And I think about because like I said 100% year over year. So I mean, which could be ridiculous, but at the same time could be. I just look at it as they're adding one more to what we had, which was just my father. Although he was doing it for 14 years, we'll see. But I really like the way that you kind of looked at that. And in terms of your question, have I ever been in a scenario like that where people will either set goals too low, where it's like, you can blow out your number, but your on target earnings so low anyway, doesn't really matter? Or have I been in a situation where it's your goal is ridiculous, your on target's ridiculous, but you'll never hit either, so it doesn't matter? The answer is no. I've never been in that situation. But when I actually went to work at Zerto, I was leaving EMC, and that was a question that I literally asked the VP of sales. I'm like, I need to know what kind of sales culture this is, because I didn't want either one of those scenarios, right? I wanted an achievable goal, like, I wanted something that was a stretch to get to, but I didn't want it to be unachievable. and I didn't want something that was going to be so easy that that everybody hits and there's no kind of competition level to it. And it was nice that Zero kind of had a good way of setting that up. But I have a buddy who's actually at Oracle right now, who's kind of going through that scenario where the goals are
they're insane.
Absolutely insane.
Yeah.
And I was talking to him, he's like, yeah, like they said our team did 8% of their number last quarter. Like, you should never have a goal, like in my opinion, like a goal that you can only do 8% of your quarterly number. Like the goal's just out of whack. And I've heard that's the culture at Oracle for years. So he's actually in the process of trying to leave there, but but it was just like ridiculous.
What's are they firing people because of that, or is it like, hey, we know this is just a crazy?
No, so that's kind of how they do. That's the culture. They like the on target earning will be like, they'll give you like a ridiculous, $250,000 a year, and it'll be like 40% is salary and 60% is commission or whatever, right?
Yeah.
But the thing is, you're not going to get really any of that commission because they set the goal like 10x what you could potentially do. So they don't fire you for not hitting your number. It's like, shoot for the moon and land on the stars. But
right.
What happens is nobody ends up shooting for the moon because they know the moon's unachievable.
Right.
So it just sets up a terrible culture. And I have a bunch of – so everybody – what the culture ends up being there is a whole bunch of people just kind of sitting around, not caring, just taking deals that come in because they know they won't be fired for not hitting their number, and they know they're not going to hit their number. So you might as well just sit around and take what comes to you.
That's so weird. Right. It's such a weird way to approach a sales culture. I mean, imagine if the Denver Broncos had that same deal. Like, our goal is super high. We know we're not going to obtain it this year, so we're just going to cruise on through the season. Just giving a half effort. Like that wouldn't work for maybe a couple of seasons, and then management would start firing people and looking for other talent to be able to drive that company's revenue and predictably. I mean, how are you going to predict what you're going to end up at the end of the year if you know that you and everyone else knows that goal is not obtainable and not reasonable?
I have no clue, like, the specifics of how they work it, but I have multiple friends who work there and have told me that, and I'm like, and they're like, yeah, come over, man. It's really chill. Like, I'm like, I have no interest in that. Like, but different strokes for different folks, as they say, right? So
for sure.
So I also want to ask you a bit about we were talking about this a little before we got on. You've been writing content. You've been working on a drip campaign for the emails and such. Walk us through that a bit. Like, what are you doing there? Like, what's going on?
Yeah. So what we have to date is a drip campaign for people that sign up for the 2-week trial of the software. So they get these emails periodically saying, hey, hope everything is going well. Let me know if there's anything I can do for you, which is okay. But what I wanted to do is I wanted to help sell by educating people. And the approach that I took was to talk about topics that had to do with properly managing, a real estate agent managing his or her database, because that's really where the core of Real Space comes in, is to help manage that database for the purpose of maintaining relationships with friends and family and past clients, as well as generating new business from those relationships. So, the drip campaigns are primarily focused on helping educate on, for example, there's a real estate coach, and I would consider him a friend of mine. He's a great guy. His name is Tom Ferry, and he says that you should be generating 10% of your transactions, your real estate transactions, from your database. and 15% of your transactions should be coming from your agent to agent network. So your other real estate agent friends that are across the country and across the state that you're in. So a couple of the topics that are in the drip campaign, this new drip campaign, have to do with that. How do you manage and maintain your relationships with other agents that send referrals, that you send referrals to them and they send referrals to you? How do you make it so that is happening on a regular basis? Two of the things that I recommended in that particular email are leveraging Facebook groups. It's insane how many great real estate Facebook groups are out there. And these people are asking questions to, their peers in the group, and for people that are in the business, the real estate business, that are not actively engaging in these Facebook groups, they're just missing out on building relationships and agent to agent referrals. So that's the one thing. The second thing that I recommended to build out that agent to agent network is to go to real estate conferences, and not just the massive ones, because those too often you can get swallowed up, although they are good. I really like the ones that are connected to real estate coaches, because it's above and beyond. Usually these people are looking to grow. It's not just a vacation going to these conferences. They're really serious about it, and they're willing to put money into it. So that hopefully gives you some idea about how I want to sell by educating. And so I tie that to a part of the software inside of RealSpace. So when you have a conversation with an agent who's in another state, you just go into RealSpace. If that person's not in there, you add that person as a contact, and then you make a note that you've had a conversation with them. And then you can look back over a period of time and see, oh, back in December of 2014, I sent Jenny a referral and it turned into business. So you can look back over a period of time and have a centralized place. And so I do a screen recording of me inside of the software, showing them how to update that particular agent contact.
And this drip campaign has been going out to the RealSpace current database, or
it'll go out to everyone who signs up for a 2-week trial of the software.
Okay, so far it hasn't gone out yet, right?
No, we're just in the process of implementing it.
Of putting it together. Okay, cool. So talk to me about that then, like in terms of like finding people to sign up. Yeah, I know you said you've closed a handful of deals already being there. How are you finding people to like sign up for the 2-week trial? How are you finding people that you're signing up? A
lot of it is done just by organic search, people finding the company by searching real estate CRMs. Some of it's done by marketing. I brought one person on because of a personal relationship that I have with him. Yeah, he's a real estate agent here in Denver, Andrew Oravalo. So I met him when I worked at BombBomb. He was a customer of BombBomb's, and so we kept in touch because he lived here locally. So it's a little bit of everything, but mostly, especially since I'm trying to get some of these other things off the ground, it's just whatever leads come in, by organic or paid search, and then I'm just following up with those.
You mentioned something there that I've been doing a bit of that I think is really interesting. You talked about like the Facebook groups and things like that. So like I said, right, it's been a new challenge for me of one of the things with our business is that I could easily call into like interior decorators, builders, and like all these other people who, and at the end we'll talk to our end customer, and that will probably help me, get some customers. But in my perspective, the best place to go for customers is directly to the customer, right? The faster you get to end user, the better. The faster you can close the deal. So I've been going into Facebook groups for like the area that I'm covering. So I'm in Montclair, New Jersey. That's where we do our smart homes services. That's where we're headquartered, but we do North Jersey and New York, really. So I'm really trying to hit Montclair hard because that's our headquarters. I think if I can reach a certain point here, the word of mouth will kind of take us to the next level on its own.
Mm-hmm.
Is my perspective. So I'm in our there's like a Facebook group there's like 2 or 3 for Montclair. So I'm like in there pretty much every day as often as I can. If there's anything that I know the answer to, I'll answer it.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it has to do with our, product or not, I want to be a part of the community. And through that, I've been able to I haven't got any business yet, but I think I'm going in the right direction. Like there's people who did ask for services that we handle, and I wrote to them and told them to check us out. They didn't reach out, so I don't know. I actually, speaking of which, need to follow back up with them to see what they came to. But then also, it enables me to in my opinion, put my content. It's like the jab, 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 right hook kind of thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like I answer a lot of their questions, and then pretty much every week I'm kind of coming in there and going, like I'll throughout the week I'll answer 10 questions about random BS about Montclair because I've lived here for 18 years prior to moving away. And then on Monday morning, I'm like, hey guys, I wrote this blog post about smart home automation. Like, I've been loving the group. Love you guys, check it out. So that's kind of like how I'm trying to approach that group. And I also want to start doing it in other groups. Like I just found one, citydata.com. There's a New Jersey forum that they have, and I'm just going to start hopping in there and answering questions and kind of just becoming a part of the community. We'll see, right? If it actually becomes, and I'll next time we talk, maybe we talk about this a month later down the line and how it's going. I personally think it will help, in terms of adding people to the to my funnel and hopefully getting some sales, but only time will tell. But when you said that, it reminded me when you said real estate agents to do it, I kind of look at what real estate agents do and the way that I approach our business, because we're also geographically kind of hindered or located. Right. Hindered is not the right word, but
you're specific.
We're
geographically specific. Yeah,
exactly. So I'm trying to kind of take some out of their book. So I think that was great advice. So maybe I should get on your drip campaign.
I think to kind of to phrase this for our Real Sales Talk listeners, I would recommend for those that are listening to figure out what your focus is, what your industry, what your vertical is, and go do a web search for real estate Facebook groups or home automation Facebook groups, whatever industry or topic you're looking to do. Just do a Google search, because most likely someone has written an article on the best ones. Mm-hmm. And that's exactly what I did. I just did a search and I found a couple of websites that gave me a list of the most popular real estate Facebook groups, and I added myself to all of them that I could. Some of them are specific to real estate agents, and I can't lie and so I just didn't go down that road. But all of them that I could, I added myself to, and I personally have started to embed myself in those conversations, and like you're saying, help answer questions where it's applicable. And by nature, I think of doing that, you create exposure, because you know what they're going to do. If they see your name there often and they see that you're providing good answers to questions, they're going to go and they're going to hover their cursor over your name. It's going to pop up with that short bio that you have on Facebook, and it's going to see the company that you work for. And so, it's selling without selling. It's selling by providing value, and I think it's just I think it's that long game, that we both believe in, and that Gary Vaynerchuk preaches. Provide lots of value, and then every once in a while you can make an ask, and people listen instead of feeling like they're being sold to without a relationship. But they listen because you've helped them, or you've talked with them before, or whatever.
I see it so much in these groups that like there's that person that just comes in and just says like, hey, like, call me if you need this.
Right.
It's like,
it's annoying.
It's like, I don't even know you, man. Like, no, I'm not calling you about this, right? Like, nobody ever calls that person. Nope. Like, what I always look for is the engagement on posts. Mm-hmm. Like, right? And you look at that post, and there's no engagement ever on that post from that person, because if you look at everything else, that's the only post they make. It's like they come in and say this stuff all the time. Whereas when you're somebody who's a part of the community, you'll get people who, and I think it's also important how you kind of write like that post, right? Like I think there's the compliment and ask Saturdays also works well, right? Like saying like, hey, like really been loving being a part of this group. Like, you guys are awesome. This is something that I do. Like, just let me know if you guys need help, right? I actually took a note out of Justin's book, and I went into one of the groups that I'm in, and I did a Facebook Live. I did a Facebook Live in the group, and I wrote as the title of the Facebook Live.
You can do that?
Yeah, Facebook Live specific to groups. Justin told me about it. He does it whenever he does it in like the neighborhoods that he sells to. Huh. So I went in there and I had already been in the group for a while, like answering questions, and I wrote, thank you guys plus an introduction to me, right? Mm-hmm. And that was like the thing, and the whole Facebook Live was, I mean, the beginning was exactly what I said. It was a thank you. Like I was in the group, I've asked questions to the group, and they provided me great answers. And I was like, I really want to thank you guys for helping me out with this, and like this is who I am. I'm from Montclair from 4 to 18 years old, and I'm back, and I know a ton about the town, so I can answer a lot of questions. But also, I own a business that does smart home automation services, so we can anything home technology, reach out to me and I can help out. And I got about 1,000 views on that Facebook Live, more than any of my Facebook Lives that I did personally, right? Mm-hmm. So, and I think like I got like 30 comments. So it's like, and these are all people who I've never met in my life, right? So that had just gotten the exposure of my product to so many more people. And if I look at the Google Analytics, it doesn't show that like that's where these people came from. They came from this Facebook Live because I didn't do like a Bitly link or anything like that. But I did double the amount of views this week as I did last week.
Cool.
Right. And I mean, largely that could be because I didn't do anything last week in terms of marketing, right. Because I had just gotten back from South Africa. But it's either from that Facebook Live or from my blog post that I did this week. But something was done right, and I'm going to continue doing both until I, figure, I can only just do what seems to be working, right? So,
have you? So in the beginning, when you kind of took on the new role for your dad's company, you were doing some, some daily Facebook Lives. Do you have a strategy moving forward? Because I noticed that you've kind of tailed off a little bit. Will you continue to do that? Do you have some thoughts, and we can kind of make this the last topic for both of us, and we'll wrap up after this one.
Yeah. So it was a first 30 days thing. I did probably like the first like 23, but then I took off and I went to that conference and everything, so that kind of skewed the 30 days. But thoughts wise, I think it was a great thing to do because it enabled like everybody in my inner circle to know what I'm doing. Mm-hmm. Has it led to actual business? Not yet.
Do you think you'll start picking it up again and doing it a little bit more? So I've had people like text me like, "Hey man, like I miss your video."
Yeah, I miss your Facebook Live. So yeah. I think I do want to do it again. The time was tough for me because it was 9:30 in the morning, which is like a really good meeting time, right? Like 9:30 is a good time to have a meeting, mm-hmm. right? So that made it a little bit tough because there were times where I would have to. I mean, don't get me wrong, like I still made the meetings happen, but like I'd be like, oh yeah, like let's just do the meeting at 9:40, like so I'd go there and I'd just do the meeting, like I do the Facebook Live in my car. So I have to figure out how that works, or do I just do it on maybe a weekly, end of the week, like, hey, this is how this week went. Like, let me update you guys on what's going on in digital architecture. I haven't figured it out yet, which is the reason I haven't jumped back in yet. But I actually really enjoyed doing it.
Cool.
Because it was more just like the Henry Show in a way that I enjoy talking about, like, you know, what I'm learning. And a lot of that
you did a stellar job, by the way. I didn't listen to all of them, but I really liked what you had to say, and I thought you did a fantastic job.
I appreciate that, man. I think it's a good thing for anybody to do. So, and I saw you kind of hopped in as well when you were making your transition. So, I think it's well worth it. Even if it's just to kind of like help you kind of crystallize some of the lessons that you're learning, and it definitely helped me with that as well.
I've never actually talked too much about work on Facebook. I've taken it as more of like my personal friends and family. But I've had a change of an opinion about that, and I've started to open up, you know, who I accept as friends. Before it was like, if I don't know you and you're not following any of my friends, then I decline the invite. But now I've started to become more open, and I've started to think about how I can, you know, expose my personal network to what I'm doing, because it's still relevant. It's still very relevant. And you know, my personal friends and family may know of real estate agents or someone who runs a brokerage. And so plus it's just a different way to share what's going on in your life, and in your friends and family. They want to know about those things. And so, you know, I like the idea of doing like a weekly recap. So I may do that pretty consistently. Maybe like a beginning of the week and an end of the week, or just an end of the week recap on what I've done. So I did that this past Friday, and I really liked it. I didn't get a whole lot of engagement, but you know, it felt good.
I think engagement comes through consistency. In everything in life. Because what was happening with mine is like, literally, like, there'd be days like, cause I didn't think anybody cared. Like, you know, 9:30. If I start at 9:35, who cares, right? I'm like, you know, nobody's really paying attention. And then one of my buddies, like, who I went to high school with, would text me at like 9:31. And he'd be like, yo man, you going live today or what? And I'm like, fuck, man. Like, I you know, like, then it's like, yo, the pressure's on. Like, I gotta get up and make sure I'm ready to go.
Yeah.
And I loved it because it made me like also be like, all right, I really gotta, you know, bring the heat when I come too. Like, you know, like, I gotta come with something good. So it was a really good experience. You know, we'll see what happens business wise with it. I recommend it to everybody. Yeah.
And those are hanging out at the top of the news feed. So Facebook is.
That's what's nice about it. That's why I did it.
They're favoring those Facebook Live videos for sure. It's really fascinating.
So I know we're pretty much at the hour mark, but I think that's something that always pay attention to. Like, for everybody watching, like, always pay attention to how these social medias use notifications, right? Like, because you can play the game with the notifications, right? So Facebook prioritizes Facebook Live, because if anybody of your friends goes live, it notifies everybody, which is huge for you if you're trying to get attention. The same can be said for LinkedIn posts, like the actual articles, because when any of your friends writes an article, everybody gets it. It's not the same if you just post something, right? If you just post an article, everybody doesn't see that. It'll be in their feed, but everybody doesn't see it. But if you write an article, everybody sees it. So that's the reason I do LinkedIn like, write articles on LinkedIn. And then another thing that I think is huge is, and I don't know the facts on this, but like, likes and comments, right? Like, you want to get as many people to like and comment on it as early as possible, because people are going to see, like, the more likes and comments that they get, especially the newer the post is, I believe that shows up in more people's social feed earlier. So what I started doing on my LinkedIn posts is, like, whenever somebody, I'm on the LinkedIn sales professional thing. So I have a bunch of in-mails that I can send. So whenever somebody even likes my LinkedIn post, I write them a message and I say, hey, I appreciate you liking my message. Like, you have any more questions, please let me know.
Mhm.
And I'm about to potentially go to a lunch with this lady in New York that could potentially end up being a client. Who knows? I'm just gonna start having the conversations, right? But those people like that. My hope is that maybe we become LinkedIn, and then they will like another one, and it continues to get to. I'm trying to get to other people's circles, right? So, and likes can help you get to other people's circles, and that's what I've noticed through even those people who I've sent messages to, because there's secondary connections.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, we're only connected through one other person. That one other person who we're connected to is the person who liked my thing. And maybe there's going to be somebody from their connection and blah, 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 blah. And it kind of just it snowballs, man. So as Gary says, 1/0.
Yeah. Right.
1/0.
Yeah. I think that's like a little social media engagement 101 there. So thanks, Henry. That's great.
I could do this all day. I love doing these. Like me and you, man, we can rock.
Me too.
One thing I want to say, we can talk about this offline, but did you see I went to VaynerMedia?
No, I didn't. How did I miss that?
We can talk about it offline.
Well, now you've teased everyone.
I'll talk. So I went. I was in Gary's office like a week ago.
Like his literal office, that corner office?
Yeah.
What?
His buddy, my buddy. Remember I told you my buddy was his. So like I was just in the area. Like I was picking up my girl from she's coming in to visit me last weekend.
Yeah.
And she was getting picked up. Like she told me like 11th and 33rd. And I'm like, that's the middle of nowhere. It was my thought, because I know New York a little bit, right?
Yeah.
I'm like, that's the middle of nowhere, New York. Like, why are they dropping her off there? So I go look at the map, and I'm like, oh, that's right by Hudson Yards.
Nice.
So I'm like just driving in, and then probably like right before I get there, like 10 minutes before I get there, it's Friday night at probably like 5 o'clock, maybe a little early. I'm like, oh man, my boy works like right at VaynerMedia. Like, let me hit him up. Like maybe I can go say what up.
Yep.
And I hit him up. He's like, yeah, man, like just come up. I'm like, all right, cool. Like, so yeah.
That's cool.
So I mean, Gary wasn't there, which honestly I didn't care about. Like, I just was happy to like go up there, like, and reconnect with my buddy, because I haven't seen him in a while. So
what's his name again?
Tyler Schmidt.
That's right. Yeah.
He's Gary's assistant.
Yeah. Did you post it? Like, where did you post pictures? Because
I just put it on my Snapchat.
Oh man, so it's probably gone, huh?
Yeah. I can send you a video. I can send you it. I kept that one.
Yeah, cool. Yeah.
Chelsea wrote me. Chelsea Pites.
Yeah.
Wrote me. She's like, "What? How'd you do that?" And I was like, "Oh, Chelsea." Yeah.
You could have done like sat in his seat in his office and done like a faux Ask Gary V show.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah. I wanted to. I didn't want to act like
Right.
I wanted to act like I've been there before, but I definitely. I was definitely pretty excited to be there.
Awesome. That's exciting. Yeah, I want to see that. I want to see the pic.
Yeah, I'll send it to you.
All right, so let's go ahead and wrap up here. We got a couple of other short tech talk segments we're going to do, recordings, and then we'll push one out tonight, and then we'll push another one out on Wednesday for you all. So thanks everyone for tuning in. Really appreciate it, and appreciating all the positive feedback we're getting. Periodically, I'll see someone use the Real Sales Talk hashtag on Twitter, and they're saying, I got someone who said they just subscribed earlier this week. So thanks for all your positive feedback. And if you're liking what we're doing, write us a review on iTunes. It would mean a lot to us. And this is also up on YouTube. It's up on Stitcher. It's also up on Google Play and iTunes. So thanks, everyone. And we'll see you next week for episode 7. Take it easy.